So, Kenneth Okonkwo has made a startling revelation concerning this Governor Fubara's illegal suspension. You see, according to him, Governor Fubara was elected to serve for 4 years from the date he was sworn in to the date of the expiration of his tenure. And that illegal declaration of a state of emergency, where Tinubu removed him for 6 months, has actually reduced his term of office illegally by 6 months. So Governor Fubara is short by 6 months. So Fubara now has the right to challenge this illegal declaration of a state of emergency that took his 6 months away from him in court, with a view to recovering his 6 months. So if Governor Fubara's tenure will expire maybe in 2027 in January, he would have to stay for another 6 months to recover the 6 months that he lost when he was suspended. This is what Kenneth Okonkwo has to say concerning this.
As a lawyer, I am not proud of what the Supreme Court did, because rule of law means that the court should always rise up to interpret the provisions of the Constitution to add value to our democracy. And the court, having not seized the opportunity, 90 days, 6 months is 180 days. That is the time that Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court combined. It is still more time that an election petition is decided. The appeal for an election decision is 60 days at the Court of Appeal, 60 days at the Supreme Court, and 480 days, that's 6 months. Supreme Court could not take up a case that would have threatened the fabric of our democracy to adjudicate on it, so that future presidents, because if you give a president the power that he can remove the elected representatives of the federating unit, democracy is gone. Opposition is gone. Because once a president wants to capture a state, he will just declare a state of emergency. State of emergency is for disasters. State of emergency is for invasion, is for wars, is for anything that needs extraordinary measure to occur. It has nothing to do with elected representatives of the people. Anything that touches elected representatives of the people is a martial law, not a constitutional change. The Constitution is very clear. Section 1, subsection 2, that the Federal Republic of Nigeria or any part thereof shall not be governed by any person or any group of persons. Neither shall any such people take control of such government, except in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. And the Constitution is very clear that it is through democratic principle. Section 14, subsection 1, Nigeria is a state that should be democratic. Clear. And accordingly, sovereignty belongs to the people. So, Rivers State people, having expressed their sovereignty and chosen their elected leaders, where did this president get the power to suspend elected representatives? I agree completely with the vice president, Shetima. And the president does not have the power to suspend a councillor. So if the vice president of Tinubu would tell you the president does not have power to suspend a councillor, where did the president get the power to suspend a governor? House of Assembly members. Where? The 305. Section 305 is very clear. Section 45 is very clear. Section 11 is very clear. What you can suspend is the fundamental human rights during the time of emergency. And the truth is that you're not even suspending it. You're trying to ensure it. Let me bring this way. You are a natural disaster going on, flood that will kill people. You will tell them they must not leave their house, and you enforce it. Why? You are infringing on their freedom of movement in order to save their lives. So which one is better? That is just what restriction of 305 permits the president to do. And do you know that it is the president that has the duty to secure lives and property in Nigeria? No state has power for any state police. When Tinubu was in power, Dele Alake, and I will still be saying this because I liked what he did so much that when I met him personally, I said, Dele, thank you for doing this. Dele told President Obasanjo, you cannot declare state of emergency in Lagos State because of the issue of security. Because, Mr. President, the issue of security is your duty, not the duty of Lagos State. So how can Tinubu declare state of emergency and remove elected representatives in Rivers State based on issue of security when that is his own duty, when he has the sole command of all the security forces? Okay, now let me ask. When Tinubu took over the government of Rivers State for 6 months, how many of the criminals that vandalized pipelines were arrested? How many? A military man went there with all the military boots on ground. They could not arrest one person. But they blamed Fubara, that Fubara was, according to the Attorney General, he has blown the whistle to his followers that will blow pipelines. Where are the pipelines blown? Where are the people that blew it? Hoax, propaganda, deceit, enchantment, bewitchment, nothing else. No justification whatsoever to even declare state of emergency. Then even if you declare state of emergency, no constitutional power to remove elected representatives. And he did both. If you ask me, I'll say in my own opinion, they were targeting the resources of Rivers State. And the mere fact that the sole administrator is even saying he cannot be probed by Rivers people is another affront to the sovereignty of the Rivers people to choose their elected representative. You came in, took their resources, and you're saying they can't ask you a question. What an insult. So there is no justification whatsoever to even declare state of emergency. The only thing I know that was happening in Rivers State is that there was a disagreement between the governor and his godfather, which manifested in disagreement between him and the House of Assembly members. And after the Supreme Court judgment, all of them said they were going to obey the Supreme Court judgment. So what else? I would have just ended it. So, my dear, there's no justification. For me, the Supreme Court would have taken up the issue. They would have heard it. Would have made definite pronouncement, which is still not late. Because they can still, it's about interpreting the Constitution. They can still go ahead to interpret the Constitution. Let us know whether they have chosen democracy or they have chosen dictatorship. Because any law that gives the president the power to remove elected representatives of the people brings democracy to an end. Because whether you bring your leaders through free and fair election, the president now has the final say of who will be governor or who will be House of Assembly member. That's what it means if you say the president has power to remove elected representatives of the federating units. For me, it does not. I agree with Shetima.
So can Fubara himself go to court to challenge his removal?
I will not talk about whether he can go to court or not. I will talk about the rule of law. Fubara is entitled to his own way of how he wants his own things to be done. So, Fubara, in my own opinion, his 6 months has been illegally taken away from him. And I say he has the right to go to court to reclaim his 6 months. That's my own opinion. Because Section 180, subsection 2, very clear that the term of office of a governor is 4 years. And the Supreme Court has ruled that it's sacrosanct. That is why we have staggered elections. So if a governor is sworn in today, he would have 4 years to govern. So whether the general election is there or not, you will give him 4 years. If you take 6 months from Fubara, he now has 3 years, 6 months. And it was not his fault. At least nobody has proved that he has done anything. He has not waged war against the Federal Republic. There was no invasion of the Federal Republic. There was no war in Rivers State. So if the 6 months was taken away from him, the Constitution says anytime it is not conducive to organize the election because of state of emergency, you shift the election by 6 months. That's what the Constitution says. So if Tinubu say it is not convenient for Fubara to govern for 6 months because of state of emergency, what it means is that you have shifted his administration by 6 months. That's my opinion. So I am not saying he should go to court or not. I'm saying, in my own opinion, he has the right to go to court to recover his 4 years. So it's left for him whether he wants to try that out or not. But if it's me, I will try that out.